My name is David Leslie Johnson, and I'm going to introduce you to the director and cast of Annabelle Creation, David S. Sandberg, Miranda Otto, Anthony LaPaglia, Stephanie Sigman, Talitha Bateman, and Lulu Wilson. All right, so I hope I'm not screwing anything up. I can't see you guys, so I'm going to move my chair over here. So that was awesome. I watched the movie, was like terrified for 75% of it, and then the last 25% was like, all right, you guys are just making everyone else's job hard. Who has to make these movies? You're just moving the bar too high. You can't have all the scary. It's not fair. So,
well, thank you.
So did anyone here ever have a doll that they were afraid of? I had problems with mannequins when it was Lulu?
I had a really scary Cabbage Patch doll.
Oh, yeah.
And all my parents and all my family thought I loved it, but I really didn't.
How about you, David? Anything inanimate?
No, my He-Mans were all awesome, so you know, we got along great.
Well, I want to talk to you real quick about, you've been making movies on a very different scale than you were just 4 years ago.
Even less.
Yeah. Okay, 3 years ago. The Lights Out short that went viral, you shot with your wife in your apartment.
Yes, Lotta
right?
Lostin.
I got a chance to visit the set for this. The whole house was on a stage on the Warner Brothers lot. I'm sure your apartment is really nice, but do you prefer working on a big set like that? Or I feel like, are they different challenges?
No challenge, just awesomeness.
Right?
Because it's like, first of all, that's sort of how you imagine that. Yeah, that's how movies are made, like on the Warner Brothers lot, and not all movies are, unfortunately. But so that was like, and to be able to design everything and just get exactly what you wanted. We had a great production designer, Jennifer Spence, who, things in this movie came to be because of her. Like the whole dumbwaiter sequence wasn't originally in the script. That was something like she was like, hey, we could put a dumbwaiter in the between the bedrooms, and I was like, can you put a child in there? And it became a whole sequence from that. So it was just a great experience with everyone collaborating and making really cool things.
Yeah, well, speaking of collaborating, and there are two people here on our stage tonight. First is godfather of the Conjuring universe, James Wan, who is making a little indie movie called Aquaman at the moment. And then Gary Dauberman, who I thought wrote a terrific script. All the characters are really well written. And so I wanted to give it out for Gary since he can't be here tonight. He is busy in Romania working on The Nun. So he's working on expanding the universe even further. So Lulu, my next question I had was for you.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 11.
11. Last year you were in another very scary movie.
Yes.
Ouija, Origin of Evil.
Yes.
My wife won't let our children watch the Conjuring movies until they're in college.
Why
she
not?
says.
Why not?
My question to you is, do you like scary movies?
I love scary movies. They're my favorite.
When did you first start seeing scary movies?
Well, I did a scary movie.
I want to tell my wife that they're good for kids. So.
I did my first scary movie when I was 6. So that kind of desensitized me to the whole genre. And then after that, I started watching more. And then I just got really into them, and I started watching them like every night. And well, I remember the first scary movie I watched. I was like 2. I forget what it was called, but it was the ones with the people who had no faces, and yes. And I don't remember that, but that's probably why I like them.
How about you? How old are you?
I'm 15.
15. Okay. So how do you feel about scary movies?
I love them too. I don't really get scared easily is the thing.
Right.
There has to be a really good scary movie to make me scared.
Right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you ever done, I'm sorry, Stephanie, have you done horror movies
Oh, you're not
before?
going to ask me my age, right?
No, I'm not going to ask your age.
Thank
No.
you.
But
And I get scared pretty easily.
okay. How was this different for you from other characters you've played? Sister Charlotte.
Well, I mean, first of all, I never thought that I would be playing a nun. I was like, I told Peter, the producer of the movie, I said, Peter, thank you for seeing me as a nun. I don't, after, especially after the characters that I've been playing before, which was pretty refreshing, and it was a challenge, and it was beautiful. I loved it. I loved it because I love these girls, and it was, my whole storyline is just taking care of these girls and be a warrior, or a spiritual warrior for them.
Right. Well, I was curious about that too. Was the relationship it sounds like the relationship you had on set was maybe a bit similar to what you had in the movie, and that you had these young co-stars that you were you felt protective of?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they were protecting me in real life because they're pretty tough. They're not scared of anything, and I'm scared of everything. So, and I think that happens when you're grown up, right? You're more scared of everything. When you're young, you're brave. You're not scared of anything in the world. It's just everything's new, and I admire that so much from them. And I feel like you guys were pretty cool to me. They were teaching me how to pronounce my name right in English. Were teaching me how to. No, they.
Michel.
And they were making fun of me because I was scared, and so it was fun. We had a lot of fun.
It was Charlotte, but she kept on saying Charlotte.
Like Charlotte?
I was
Charlotte?
like, no.
Well, Miranda and Anthony, the two of you have very interesting characters. I love talking to actors and because when you're writing, you don't have as much time as the actors have to invest in that character. It's always exciting to me to go on set and see an actor live the character that you've written. You two had, I think, really challenging characters in that, they were great. They're classic great horror tropes. The sort of like the caretaker with the secret and the mysterious woman in the room. But that requires those two characters to sort of be ciphers for a lot of the movie. Now, you see them at the beginning, then there's the time gap, what happened in the meantime, and you have to play. We don't get to know a lot about them until those little moments. How do you go about preparing for a character who you have it has to be necessarily mysterious?
Well, I have a 14-year-old daughter who's in the audience, so I just practice scaring her. No, I would listen. I would get home from work, and I would be asked, how was it today? And I said it was great. I just walked around being creepy all day. I just creeped out the kids all day. I didn't really get to know them on purpose, just so that I could be extra creepy.
Looks like it worked.
Yeah, and I just, it's one of those things where, it's one of those roles where it's a slightly fine line between you want the audience to think that maybe you're involved in this somehow, without tipping off that you're not. And so there's kind of a line, there's a line of restraint, and there's a line of creepiness that you should not cross.
Right. How about you? I mean, you were behind the veil and behind the mask.
I loved being behind the veil. I wanted to be
Yeah.
behind the veil as long as possible because I thought it was fun to play a character that was really mysterious, that the kids had kind of endowed her with all these qualities because they didn't know her. So in some ways, it was best to kind of stay as mysterious as possible. I was always saying, keep the veil, keep it longer, keep it longer. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun being the kind of creepy lady that everyone's scared of.
Right. So one of the sort of trademarks, I guess, of sort of the Conjuring movies are creating these scares in sort of everyday environments. And obviously you're the perfect man for that with Lights Out, which was a great concept of your apartment and how do you make that scary. Do you have any sort of, what's your approach in sort of crafting these scares and these environments that are not necessarily places that are normally creepy, like a little girl's bedroom? How you turning that into, you obviously turned that into a very scary place.
Well, isn't it? Yeah, like you said, I mean, everything can be creepy, and that's what we try to do here as well. Like we have the the thing happening with the barn, you know, in the daylight and all of that, to sort of show that, yeah, nowhere is safe and no time is safe either, you know. And yeah, I don't really know the exact process of crafting scares. Like the pop gun scene when she's like shooting the pop gun out into the dark, that was actually a dream I had. That was also not in the script. So I sort of dreamed that I was watching the movie almost, and I sort of saw that scene play out of a little girl shooting that ball out into the dark. And I woke up and like right away I had to write it down before I forgot it, and I sent it over to Gary, and was like, "You think we could put this in the movie?" And he was like, "Why don't I have dreams like that?" So it's yeah. Sometimes I'm not really sure myself where things come from.
The set. I mean, was this a set inspire you in terms of like once you're there on the set, is it giving you ideas where to put the camera? And could you? I mean, it sounds like you were also crafting scares with your production designer too, in terms of like the dumbwaiter and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was a very inspiring set because it just looks creepy and you know, Jennifer wanted to, or like I wanted to have I told her to put in all these little nooks and crannies and sort of weird angles and stuff like that, because I knew that, you know, a lot of the scares sort of you come up with on the day because you can't really predict everything, you know.
Right.
But yeah, it was a very inspiring set.
Talitha, looking at the movie a second time, you really go through the ringer there towards the end.
Yeah.
What was sort of your most harrowing day on set? Or were any of them harrowing? Was it just is it scary out here and it wasn't scary there?
Probably when I was in the chairlift. That day was painful to shoot because it was just consistent crying and screaming all day, basically. And there's one point where I'm on the chairlift where I pull off the, what do you call that thing?
Oh, the little acorny thing on the
Acorny
banister.
thing, yeah, that works.
Yeah.
And that actually wasn't on purpose. That happened on the day, and I was like reaching for it and trying to grab it, and then it fell off and broke on the floor. So we ended up using that, which was hilarious to me when I saw the film.
Yeah, I was like, that's great. Let's do it again.
Or were you able to do it again?
Yes.
You went back and recreated the...
Yeah, and put some dust in there as well, so it would really
Oh, that's great.
pop.
What can you tell us about just putting together this great cast? Because, I mean, one of the things that's great about, I feel, that James has done with the Conjuring franchise was really to, like, make these actor pieces, to invest these really great characters. Tell me about the casting process for you.
Well, I mean, for the kids, we had extensive auditions. And, I mean, it's kind of funny because Talitha is the sister of Gabriel from Lights Out. So you might think that it's like, oh, yeah, I mean, I know you, let's put you in the movie. But she actually had to go through the same sort of audition as everyone else and sort of come back and really show how great she was, you know, and did a lot of sort of improv and to make sure that the kids could look scared. And I mean, yeah, casting is just so important. Just not just because it makes your job easier on the set if the actors can nail it, but yeah, it's what sells the movie. And I'm very happy that we got this amazing cast. I mean, I was worried when, like Miranda, I met with you, and that was before Lights Out had come out, and I was sort of talking about this movie, and you wanted to see Lights Out. So New Line set up like a private screening just for Miranda to show her the movie, and I was like freaking out, like she's gonna come out of there and say like, I'm not gonna be in that guy's movies. So I was like emailing New Line and saying like, please don't let her see it alone, you know, because
Please don't let her out of the room.
yeah, no, because it plays best when there's other people, like here, you know. So I was like, put some assistants or PAs or whatever
I went
in
and
there.
watched it in a room, and then at the end of it, there were no lights on in the room, and then I couldn't find the light switch to get out of the room. And I thought, oh, they've got a camera in here for sure, watching me like freaking out trying to get out of the room.
Yeah, but yeah, they didn't. It was just you seeing the movie, and
Yeah,
and
just
yeah,
me on my
you
own.
Still came out of there and wanted to do this.
Yeah,
so.
I did.
Thank you.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, Talitha and Lulu, you guys have a great relationship on screen. It looks like you have a great relationship here in real life too. Did that spring up on set?
What did you, sorry, what was the question?
Well, you have such a good camaraderie here, and it shows on screen. Does that just sort of come about naturally on set?
Yeah.
It really did. We played these really, really long games and intense games of Uno for like 3 hours at a time on set, and I feel like that really solidified the relationship for us.
Definitely. And most of the time, during the first few days of filming, we were alone shooting mostly because we got called early and we had a lot of scenes together. So that really helped bond us, I think.
We rehearsed a lot of the lines together before the scene, and I feel like that also really made us have a great bond.
Yeah.
Well, David, this is your second film at LA Film Festival.
Second film ever.
So 100%. I mean, what does that mean for you when your first two movies are here at this film festival? Does it sort of feel like home now?
It does. It's like, yeah, this is how you roll out a movie. First, you go to LA Film Festival, and then you have the normal premiere.
I really thought there was going to be a chair for Annabelle here.
I know that would have been great. Yeah, we should have had that. Well, you know what? Actually, you know what? One more question. I'm going to ask one more question because there's a rule in the Annabelle universe that you never actually see the doll move.
So you have to put a sheet over her, and then you don't see her move. but
Exactly, or
she's
something
moving.
picks her up and moves her. What was it? Was that challenging trying to figure out how to work around that that rule of the universe?
Yeah, that was the big challenge, and that's why we had to have all these weird things happening around her. You know, like Scarecrow coming to life, and evil Mrs. Mullins, and just try to have her be the center of all the evil goings on, but yeah, without having her running around stabbing people or something.
Right. Well, but I feel like that's one of the things that it lends it. If she was doing that, it wouldn't be as scary as the shot of her getting popped in the head and then going back to her and she's popped and she's looking right back at you. I think that was really, really effective.
Yeah, you know they're gonna regret doing that to the doll. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Well, if we get another round of applause here for our cast and
Thank you
crew.
guys for coming. Thank you.
Thanks very much.